Hello, everybody, and today what we're going to be doing is reviewing Money in the Bank 2024. Now, this is a show that I did not watch live. I watched it the following day on Sunday because I was saving it to watch with my dad. So I didn't watch it live, so that may affect my, opinions on it. But I didn't know anything about the show going in except the John Cena appearance, which I did see on Twitter accidentally from a post from Omos, of all people. But nonetheless, we're going to go in through each match. But I would like to say beforehand my kind of summary on the show, if you don't want to, watch the whole thing, a bit of a TTYL or whatever it is. No, let's talk to you later. Too long, didn't read. TLDR, there we go. TLDR, basically, for what I thought on the show. It's bad. I don't enjoy this show as a whole. It has its moments. It has good moments, even great moments. But I think as a whole, story-wise and as an experience, I just didn't have fun or any joy, really, when I was watching it. I was just let down by match after match after match. But we'll be going through each one of those matches. Let's get started with the men's Money in the Bank, which opened the show, featuring Drew McIntyre defeating Andrade, Carmelo Hayes, Chad Gable, Jey Uso, and L.A. Knight. Yeah, in about 16 and a half minutes. This is rated a 7.48 on the wrestling database known as cagematch.net, and I think that's pretty accurate to how the match goes. It's an entertaining watch at the beginning of the show to be like, oh, cool. Drew McIntyre, might cash in later on in the night. He said he was going to do that, but still an interesting idea. He wins the briefcase. Everybody has some cool moments in this match. Drew doesn't have that many, but everybody else does some flippy cool stuff. Chad German suplexes a ladder, belly-to-belly suplexes LA over the ropes onto another ladder. Andrade and Carmelo have a sit-out powerbomb, or the flippy one powerbomb. I don't remember what it's called. The flip and the powerbomb onto the ladder. And I think those are good moments as a whole, and it's a good match. It's not incredible, but it's a good Money in the Bank ladder match. And I was like, okay, I'm starting to like this show. We move on to Intercontinental title action as Sami Zayn defeated Bron Breakker after about 13 minutes, and this is rated a 6.55 on the database. This is where I started to be like, oh, what? Because I do not agree with this decision. I didn't predict it correctly either, because now this is one of my wrestling hot takes. I have a few, and I only started really watching wrestling in 2022, so that might be why I have these opinions. I don't think these versions of Sami Zayn matches are good because they're all the same match. Every single one is just the same formula. And that can work. It can work, but it just doesn't. It really doesn't. And I explained this to my dad. And it goes like this. Match begins. The person he's against, who's almost always the overdog, I guess, gets in a few big moves, but Sami pops out with a couple of his signature moves, Blue Thunder Bomb, maybe. Maybe he does that drive-by, drop kick through the ropes. He does that. He does a haluva kick, but that's a little too early. And his signature moves, him, where he, grabs their hands, tornado DDT, moves like that. And then the person that he's fighting comes back. They hit like a finisher of theirs or a signature move. They hit a few more wear-down moves. Sami just flops on the floor like a fish for 90% of the match and occasionally pops up really only for his signature moves, like that one where he bounces on the ropes, leg drops them, and then flips backwards. And then out of nowhere, oh, it's a haluva kick. It's a haluva kick. He caught him randomly out of literally nowhere with a haluva kick. He just won the match. Oh, my goodness gracious. It's the most boring formula ever. And I have it with me right now. I don't have Bron, but I have Rick Steiner, who's his dad. And the formula for this match is basically the same concept as what I just described, because the match starts. They have a bit of a lockup. They toss each other around, feel each other out a little bit. Bron starts doing that running the ropes thing that he does. Boom! Takes Sami down. And then throughout the match, it's the exact same thing. Bron is mostly on offense. Sami's flopping on the floor like a fish, as I said. But occasionally, every once in a while, Sami's able to get that moment. Oh no, Blue Thunder Bomb. Of course, doesn't get him the win. He tries a little drop kick through the ropes thing, gets caught with a clothesline on the outside of the ring. He does do that little, caught your hand. I got your hand, which you some reason can't let go of. Oh my goodness gracious, it's a tornado DDT. And he does the same exact formula. He's getting ready to be hit by a spear, basically. He's stuck in the corner. Bron runs at him. He lifts his knee. Bron stumbles backwards. He does his normal haluva kick, and Bron just loses clean. And Bron just lost all of his aura. To people who didn't watch NXT, they're just like, oh, he just lost to Sami. Oh, well, okay, I guess he can be beaten then. And then for people who did watch NXT, like me, I I really, this is kind of a funny story. The first wrestling show that I got hooked on was really NXT in its late 2022, early 23 phase. I was really into watching NXT every single week. And so I was watching Bron just beat the hell out of people. And I was like, wow, I really like this guy. And even now I'm just like, but now his aura's gone. He doesn't feel as good anymore. And it can't even set up for a rematch, really, because he just lost clean. There's no shenanigans. Bron doesn't get hit with the steps, a table, a weapon, nothing. He just loses the match, and it's really deflating. I did not enjoy this match. The thumbs up to the previous match, thumbs down to this one. Then we move on to, debatably, the worst match of the night, which is Damien Priest versus Drew McIntyre versus Seth freaking Rollins for the World Heavyweight title. This is Drew McIntyre's cash-in match. Yes, he cashed in already. But before that, it was also just bad. It's just not a good match. Now, I don't have a Damien figure. I have a Seth in here. But, I brought Undertaker to represent Damien. They're working very slowly. They're not doing anything too special. They're just doing all insecurity. Oh, spin around. Oh, little power slam. Broken arrow. Oh, my goodness gracious. And it's just, they're working at house show pace. It's working like a house show. And Seth might have been injured, sure. And there's a comment on here that I would like to read for you that I agree with mostly up to this point exactly in the show, which represents my feelings almost entirely, and they have phrased it quite well. So I'm just going to quote that, and I'll throw it up on screen as well. Moonblood wrote, and I quote, "I'll just talk about the matches instead. The first hour was good enough. While nothing to write home about, Sami and Bron had a nice little match that ended with a rather surprising clean finish. The opener turned out to be the usual spot fest, with everybody getting their moments in the sun. There's so many ladder matches nowadays that I just hope nobody gets injured doing a stupid spot no one will remember 10 minutes later. The whole heavyweight title thingy felt awkward from the beginning. Not sure if Seth's still injured or if Priest was having an off night, but both guys worked so soft, the action was almost looking like satire. Despite the clunkiness, it got even worse when someone botched the finish, and Drew for some reason interfered early instead of waiting for the winner to be exhausted and easy prey. Punk's attack was to be expected at this point and made Drew look like even more of an idiot. Seriously, what was happening here?" And I agree with that entirely, because it's the most basic formula for a match I think I've ever seen. Honestly, because the worst formula, I'm talking about basic formula. Go back to the Sami match. This is just a bad match because they have if you put Seth versus Damien in a 2K game, this is what pops out. Because I forgot I didn't bring Undertaker, but I have Rock. So we're going to use Rock here. So it's just, they lock up. They do, Insaguri. Oh, my goodness gracious. I've never seen them do that move before. They do Falcon Arrow. That's going to get a 2 count every single time because it means absolutely nothing. And then Drew just comes out after they really screw up a pinfall. I don't know what they were doing. If you've seen this, you know what I mean. But if you haven't, I need to explain this to you. So I think it's Seth who's hit a Falcon Arrow of some sort, and he's covering Damien. And the ref goes, 1, 2. Damien does not move, period. And the ref just goes, whoa, he kicked out. And Damien he didn't even kick out late. He just stayed there on the ground. And Seth's like, huh? And the commentary team has no idea what to say. The crowd just goes, absolutely collapses. Then Drew comes out with a briefcase. It's like, I'm cashing in right now. And then Punk just comes out and beats him up anyways. It takes like half a second. And a lot of people argue, it was so predictable. I can't make that argument because I didn't predict it like that because I didn't think they would be that dumb. Because, it advances the Punk and Seth storyline. Too bad, pal. It made the Money in the Bank briefcase useless for the next year. It means nothing now. Yes, Tiffany Stratton won the women's one, but now the men's one has been devalued. Think of the last 3 cash-ins. Austin Theory, dog shit. I mentioned that in the previous video. Damien, okay, that was a good one. That was pretty high up on the list. And then this one is just bad and would probably go near the bottom of that list because it's not fun to watch. It's just deflating to see Drew's cashing out. He just lost. And he gets pinned too. Punk beats him up with a chair, hits him with the title belt. Now Seth can't challenge for the title anymore. And yeah, it advances the story. I agree with that. And yes, it makes the match that they'll inevitably have together more heated. Agreed. However, it doesn't give the fans who are at this show a good experience. And that's Triple H's biggest issue. Every feud, every story has to take place over 8 pay-per-views. Just give the fans at each one something to be happy about. And he just doesn't do it. ever. Like, if I have Kevin and I have Chad, right, and I say, okay, these two people are feuding. Let's say Chad's having a match with somebody else. He's having a match with Solo. They have a match, blah, 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 blah. Oh, Kevin Owens comes in, disqualifies Chad, let's say. Chad wins the match by DQ, but Kevin, beats him up after the match. Then later on, Kevin has a match with Seth. Do the same thing, except Chad breaks this one out. Oh, no. Now, yes, Kevin did win the match, but still got beat up afterwards. And then they just keep doing the same formula over and over and over and over again. It's annoying. You couldn't tell I'm very angry at this show, and I do not like it as a whole. I just needed somewhere to express that feeling. Anyways, we will move on to the actual good half of this show, featuring the Women's Money in the Bank ladder match, which is Tiffany Stratton defeating Chelsea Green, Io Sky, Lyra Valkyria, Naomi, and Zoe Stark. Now, there are a few botches at the beginning of this match that devalue it a little bit, including a tornado DDT that was really screwed up, took an extra 10 seconds to hit. But otherwise, it's an entertaining match that felt like a car crash, as they said. It's the highest rated one on here at a 7.8. And it feels like it is a really entertaining match. And I like this one. This is probably my match of the night, personally. I do think it's nice to see Tiffany win. I didn't predict it. I said Chelsea. But at the same time, I also predicted Bron to win. So I'm not doing so swell at this point. But nonetheless, Tiffany, a good winner. There are a lot of really balls to the wall spots here. Naomi does a split between two ladders, and that's pretty cool. Let's see, Zoe and I think Lyra have a power bomb onto another ladder. That's nice. Io gets a really heavy smash on top of another ladder. It's a tombstone onto Zoe, which she really messes her back up with. And it's a very car crashy match that I guess I was entertained by and would take my match of the night. I don't think it's a 7.8. I think it's a perfect 7.5. But still, it's not bad. It's a good match. It's nothing close to that bottom tier that we've seen from really previous two matches up to this point. Then we see the main event, which features the Bloodline, which is Jacob Fatu, Solo Sikoa, and Tama Tonga with Tonga Loa, defeating Cody Rhodes, Kevin Owens, and Randy Orton. Solo Sikoa pins Cody Rhodes here, setting up that title match at SummerSlam, which we're probably going to see. And this match, I think, is a good match. I don't really have that much hate on it. I was honestly entertained by it. I think there should have been interference. I know a lot of people have complained over the course of the past couple of years, the Bloodline matches have interference every single time. They already had interference. Tonga Loa already interferes in this match. Just have more. Just have Jimmy come out. Have Solo do something weird, then Roman or Rock come out. And I get it. It's a B show. It's Money in the Bank. Oh my gosh. I hate people who make that argument. Just because it's a big show doesn't mean you can't have not big stars on it. Just because it's a small show doesn't mean you can't have big stars on it. John Cena is at the show. I mentioned that earlier. And that's a great promo by Cena. He is announcing basically he's retiring next year. His Rumble, his Chamber, his Mania are the last ones next year. And that's very sentimental and a very interesting moment to those who've seen him for so many years. But you just can't have, Roman or even Jimmy, and Jimmy's not even that big of a star. Just having, even if he's still injured, he can come back and at least try and help, and you can build somewhat of a story there, but they just don't. And they leave so much on the table and also don't have anything on the table in the first place because nothing happens on this show. It's genuinely, a lot of people predicted this show almost perfectly, and I just didn't because I didn't think they'd be that stupid. So that's the reason that I don't like this show as a whole. I think it's a very poor showing from WWE. It ruins the Money in the Bank concept for the men for the next year. I don't like that. Drew McIntyre has been indefinitely suspended, apparently, due to the post-show actions he engaged in. Yes, the ladder matches were fun, but didn't really gain anything for me. Bron lost all of his aura. Damien is a worse champion now. And then the Bloodline still barely have aura at this point. I hated this show. What about you? Let me know down in the comments down below. Make sure you have a good day, good evening, good night, good morning, good dawn, good dusk, go whatever. Make sure to watch any former or future episodes of this channel. This show sucks. And goodbye.